All right, so we have our investor panel, 7 investors who are going to, judge the 3 finalists. Did I tell you who the finalists are, or do you know? All right, so Oniva, Giroptic, and Bolt are the 3 finalists. They're going to do 3-minute pitches, and then the investors are going to try to rip them to pieces. Hopefully not, or maybe, kind of, I don't know. But let me tell you some of the investments these investors have led. So it's early stage, late stage, corporate, Spotify, Box, 500 Friends, Gigya, Whisper, Relay Rides, Skype, RingCentral, Insightly. So these are just some of the companies these investors have invested in. So I welcome Joel, Ho, Carrie, Sharon, Patricia, Sandia, Allison, and of course, Bill. So Bill, if you guys don't know, is with Garage Ventures, and he's one of the most helpful VCs I've ever met, and one of these days he's gonna help me with a book. But he does this presentation, How to Get to Wow. If you haven't seen it or if you haven't gone to an event, it is absolutely incredible. I enjoy it every time. So with that, I will hand over the mic. I know we're short on the mic here. Who needs a mic? Who needs a mic? Who needs a mic?
I have one.
Do we have enough chairs? Oh, great, we got it. All right, are we ready to go? All right, so can I have the panel introduce themselves before the entrepreneurs? Okay, so we're going to just have quick introductions from our panel, and then we're going to bring on the entrepreneurs, all right? So you wait right there, Anita. And Carrie, could we start with you?
Yeah, sure.
Introductions.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Carrie Lai with Intel Capital. I've been an investor for over a decade now, focused on marketing technologies, and we really focus on companies that are what we call early efficient growth. So companies that have proven product market fit, few customers, but are definitely pre-growth inflection. So that's what I specialize in.
I'm Sandhya Venkatachalam from Centerview Capital. We're actually a late-stage growth capital firm. Our partnership actually has over 60 years of operational experience building and leading technology companies of all sizes, including Cisco, Skype, AT&T. And we like to bring that operational expertise to bear in actually helping our portfolio companies accelerate growth and build sustainable businesses.
Hi, Ho Nam from Altos Ventures. We focus on software, internet, mobile, e-commerce companies. We've been in Silicon Valley since 1996. And I actually got started in the venture business before that at Patricia's firm. And at the time I joined the venture industry in the early 90s, the entire industry had invested $1 billion. And I think this year we will see several companies raise $1 billion in just one single round of funding. So the industry has changed quite a bit.
Patricia Nakash with Trinity Ventures, and I've been at Trinity 16 years, but did not overlap with Ho, so I'll show you, you've been in the venture industry even longer. Trinity was founded in 1986. We're investing our 11th fund right now. We're an early stage technology firm. Our sweet spot is our Series A. We'll do opportunistically Series, sub-Series B, some large seed rounds. We're sort of split roughly 50-50 between consumer tech and enterprise tech.
Oh, I have a mic. I think it's on. My name is Sharon Weinbar. I'm a partner at Scale Venture Partners. We invest in companies that are early in the scaling phase. So after you've achieved product market fit and have a channel to market that is working, you're in revenue. One of our typical companies, on average, they'll grow 182% in the year after we invest. So they're right on that high part of the slope.
Hi, I'm Joel, and I'm with Creandum. Creandum is a venture firm based in the Nordics and here in Palo Alto. We have around 400 million under management and focus on consumer and enterprise in seed and A rounds. We were first investor in companies such as Spotify, iSettle, and KNC. We have around 50 portfolio companies, and around 11 of them have headquarters here in the US. And our main purpose here in the US is basically to invest in European entrepreneurs that either have established some type of operations here or are about to establish some type of operations here. So some of our US companies are like Neo4j, Neo Technology, Vivino, or Ticktail.
I think I'm mic'd up. Yeah. I'm Allison Wagenfeld. I'm a partner at Emergence Capital. We are an early stage firm focused entirely on enterprise cloud companies. We were started in 2004. Our first investment was Salesforce.com, and we've been probably one of the most focused firms in Silicon Valley. And my background, prior to joining Emergence, I've been an entrepreneur as well. I started the Quicken Loans business when I was at Intuit, and also the second employee at an early stage Kleiner Perkins-backed company, and also managed the Harvard Business School office out here for a while.
Great. And I'm Bill Reichert, Managing Director at Garage Technology Ventures. Garage is a seed and early stage venture capital firm here in the Valley. And Joel and I go back and forth between Pandora and Spotify. We were the first investors in Pandora, and Crandom is an investor in Spotify. How many people here use Pandora? Huh? Great, great. How many people here use Spotify? Oh, okay.
Could be more. Will be more.
Agnostic.
That's okay. That's great. They're both great. In any case, with that, enough of that. Let's bring on the entrepreneurs. So, starting with Anita from Oniva. Come on in.
Thank you.
We're supposed to see the slides.
Thanks, Redwood City, for selecting me. Do I start now? My name is Anita Darden-Gardine, and I'm the CEO at Oniva. I quit my job as CFO at Quantum Corporation's hard disk drive group when my husband's company was acquired for $3.25 billion. Since then and together, we founded Oniva. I found whether I was a professional woman or stay-at-home mom, I needed help taking care of my kids and increasingly my parents. In the current environment, I have to go to a website like Craigslist or one of those other care agencies. I still have to do a background check. I have to vet. I have to figure out how to handle payment and taxes. And that's just too much hassle for me. So what we did is we created Oniva. Oniva is a two-way marketplace between professional women, professional moms, and highly qualified caregivers who pass FBI background checks. Together, they can meet on our site and they can view, book, and approve and pay for caregivers all in one setting. We currently offer our services in the consumer space, and we're in operations here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but we also market to large corporations. We've had one Fortune 100 company approach us and ask us to provide services to 53,000 employees in 6 cities across 5 states. We're looking forward to providing that service in January 2016. We currently are based in Oakland, California, and we service our large corporate accounts from that office. That's where our business account teams will be located. But the true excitement about Oniva is our platform, and it is designed to be scalable and to be replicable. The services that we currently offer, as mentioned in the San Francisco Bay Area, will be expanded to over 40 cities between now and 2018, and we'll also be going international, thanks to our most recent investor. Currently, we are achieving revenue growth in the 400% range from January until currently. We're seeing our billable hours grow month over month between 100 and 400%. And as mentioned, we have a Fortune 100 company we're speaking to, as well as a second company, a $100 million company here in the Alameda area. We are employing high touch now while we're still small because we want to get as close to that customer as we can. We realize that as we scale, we'll have to lose some of that, but we want to take advantage of that learning to the best of our ability. Care is an $85 million market. It's growing between 1% and 7%, depending on the particular segment, but we all know 10,000 baby boomers a day are retiring. And the way we make money is we actually make a markup on caregiver wages, so we earn between 17 and 26% margin on every job booked through our site, and that's what we currently do. We're raising $1 million seed round. We've raised about $176,000 so far through friends and family. I thank you for the opportunity to share the vision of Oniva, and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Let's hear it for Anita. All right. Great job, Anita. Okay, so who wants to start the questions? Patricia.
So is your target, are you targeting backup care, or are you targeting ongoing, like full-time nanny services? And if the latter, how do you prevent yourself from being disintermediated, given that your model is to take a cut of every hour?
Exactly. The actual answer is we do both. We do everything that professional mom wants us to do. In the case of someone wanting to date behind our back and hire a caregiver, we actually have language in our contracts, which were drafted by Wilson Sonsini, that gives them the opportunity to buy that nanny basically for $3,000. And of course, we have lots of other nasty language that says we'll sue you both.
but I'm sure it's kindly and gently phrased, right?
Absolutely. It's
I'm
Wilson.
sure.
Come on,
'Cause
Rachel
this is
Profit.
This is childcare, after all. Okay, all right. All right. Yes, Allison. Oh,
Mike, no, fine.
okay, good.
So I have found it's often harder for companies to be both a B2C company and a B2B company at the same time. What is your focus, and how are you simultaneously, as such a small company, going to market in two different distinct ways?
At this point in time, as I mentioned, we've launched in the consumer space, and it was actually one of the large high-tech companies that approached us and asked us to bring that service in. What's exciting for us, because again, our network is scalable and replicable, we can go to that new city, and using that business base, that certainly incents us to bring in the caregivers and other contractors that we need, because we're going to go beyond care with this particular company, and that gives us a platform from which we can now market to consumers and enables us to grow much faster. We've also been approached by an international investor who wants to see us bring our technology to his company, his country rather, so you'll see us grow globally fairly quickly.
Okay, Sandhya.
You mentioned scalability and replicability, but what is your actual competitive differentiation? Why couldn't another team focused on the same market do something similar?
As it currently stands, nobody is doing it the way that we do it. We do have patents pending on our technology platform. It has to do with the way trust is established. We have a video latent site in which we use a lot of video in which you can not only verify the identity, but that video along with graphic data is how you create that trust. So our patent speaks to the use of the left brain, right brain in forming that trusting relationship fairly quickly. And right now, that's all ours. 17 years.
So I think it's great you have revenues early on, but did you just say your platform was not going to launch until January of next year? Is that right?
No, we are live in operation. I shared that a Fortune 100 company has access to be in 6 cities in 5 states in January of 2016. And in order to do that, we actually have to be ready in October when they send out their employee benefits information. And that company has access to provide more than just care. We have a concierge platform. We can bring in a dry cleaner, a pool cleaner, a house cleaner, whatever service that corporation wants to provide to its employee body. We provide concierge care, and there's nobody else doing it this way, and definitely not in the care space.
Now, can I just clarify the B2B? Is it truly B2B, or are they just a distribution channel for you? Do you pay? Does the corporation pay you, or do the employees pay you?
Contract's not finished being negotiated, but they are going to pay us to build the network. They are,
Okay.
the corporation is going to upfront us cash to help us build the network
Okay,
so that
but
we
then
can
the
service the employees.
transactions are between you and the corporation, not between you and the employee.
That is correct. That
Okay,
is correct.
so it is
That is
B2B.
correct.
It is
Absolutely.
B2B. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Carrie.
Can you talk a little bit about how this is differentiated from some of the care services out there today, like care.com, for example?
Excellent example. Care.com and Urban Sitters, many of us got to see earlier today. The first difference is we actually know the identity of people who appear on our site. We look at their IDs and we do FBI background checks. And yes, we are uniquely registered as a nanny agency with the state of California. They are not. We have a 1-800 number for a concierge service that live human answers 24/7. They don't have that. Our care is tailored for your family because we do an Airbnb-like intake in which someone will go to your home and you'll tell us your child's favorite toy. Grandma shouldn't answer the phone because she gives away money, but we provide the care the way you want it provided. Those other folks don't do that. And some of them don't market into the business space in the same way that we are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions? Joel.
So it sounds like you have the demand side sorted out. And who and how do you recruit for the supply side? And what does it mean with FBI checkups? And is it only you that can do that, or is it something that everyone could do?
I'll answer the last question first. Different countries will certainly, even different states will have different standards around what it is you have to do to provide care in those specific regions, and we'll have to amend our service to meet that standard. But you can hear we're reaching for the gold standard of security and trust because it doesn't exist in the marketplace. I'm sorry, the other question that you'd asked?
It's basically who and how do you recruit nannies and
Excellent. Well, currently we recruit largely through church organizations. The Church of Latter-day Saints, for example, is an organization that we partner with. They have communities throughout the nation, and they focus on care as a part of their offering. We partner with other religious organizations as well. We recruit through organizations like Carrington College. They have 28 campuses, and they have things like vocational technical training. So they'll have certified nursing assistants who can help with elder care. They'll also have pet vocational assistants, because elders tend to have pets who tend to be older, who tend to get sicker and have things like diabetes and require shots. So when we say we offer pet care, it's not dog walking. It's the kind of services that you need to keep your parents and their pets in their home as they age. We also do use Craigslist at times, but I'll say that we reject 4 out of 5 candidates who apply to work for us. They're free to go work for care.com or those other agencies, but they've got to meet our standards. And our first standard is security and trust.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, and just last question then. Do you have to get licensed in every state where you're going to operate?
From what I have read, every state has a licensing requirement, and we will meet that requirement just as we have in California.
Okay, so you still have 49 plus to go, right? That's the deal?
That is the deal.
All right, just checking. All right,
Thank
great.
you.
Anita, great job. Thank you so much. Excellent. All right, good.
Awesome. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the winners are going to get $5,000 in legal services from Kurtzman Law. Second place is going to get $3,000. Zero Catering is going to feed them. And with that, our second Giroptic is next. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Excellent. Very cool. Boy, what is this?
So, Giroptic. We're going to talk about photos and videos. So, just to drop a few numbers of 2 platforms you already know, YouTube and Facebook. 300 hours uploaded every minute on YouTube. About 4 billion video played a day on Facebook. So there is no doubt that video is huge today. But then for 200 years, since the beginning of photography, we've been stuck in a frame. We're seeing tons of things happening around us and always focusing on this little frame in the middle. So we've been spending the last 7 years how to understand and work to go from this to this. A way to capture everything up, down, and around you at once, natively. A video that will allow you to browse your content and just always watch whatever you want to watch and explore your environment, just like the way you do it on a regular basis in your life. So you can play it on computers, smartphones, by moving the device around you, and of course VR headset like Oculus Rift. YouTube, I just opened the 360 format. Facebook is announcing it for the next few months, so it's coming mass market now. I don't know. So where do we come from? So we started 7 years ago with a mirror solution to capture panoramic pictures. But then you miss a huge field of view above and below. So we moved from this to a multiple lenses system. And then we had to use a software to stitch the images together. Then again, a huge waste of computing power, time, and resources. So we decided to stop with the product, and we moved to technology development. And we created a technology that merged instantly in a device several sensors directly and in real time. So we had to prove the world it was working. So we developed a consumer camera, the 360 cam, the one that's in your hands right now. So this little guy had 3 optics that has merged just in one, creating this view of everything happening around you. So we tried the market and launched this camera on Kickstarter a few ago. And it exceeded our expectations to reach 1.4 million on Kickstarter. Right now we have 11,000 cameras pre-ordered, and we're going to be shipping 12,000 cameras in July. But again, we didn't create a camera, we created a technology. And we can actually work with any industry today using video sensors to develop 360 for any kind of device. So think about your smartphones. One lens in the front, one lens in the back. The only thing you're missing right now is the right technology to be able to stitch in 360 and make it happen on your phone. Think about video conference cameras, security cameras, drones, anything. We can work on any sensor, any type of technology, from a light field to thermal vision, anything. So just a few things about the company. We're now 21 people in 2 offices. In France, obviously, and one in the US in San Francisco right now. We do everything in-house, from lens design to PCB design, product design, of course. We have a few patents, 4 4 patents, and we've been on a massive trend of growth. We've been from 500,000 to 2 million to now turning toward 10 million. So we believe it's the right technology at the right time. The technology is ready to be industrialized. We have Facebook again and YouTube already opened, so it's just the right time. VR is coming big. And it's a one-time opportunity because today we are the only one making this kind of technology. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Marianne. Very interesting. Okay, who's up? Yes, Sandhya.
So I think I understand the technology, at least at a high level. What is your go-to-market? You mentioned Facebook and YouTube, but what is the overall plan?
So we're launching 12,000 cameras that will be producing contents, and are the first cameras to be able to produce content directly for those platforms and for VR headsets. So of course, content creation may be like from anyone holding these cameras in their hands, and then we have a lot of partners in different fields, in sports, of course, but in music, in any content creation department. But then again, it's much more for us like a showcase, a way to tell people that 360 is ready right now and that everybody can use it and enjoy it.
Okay, so, but if I want to follow up on Sandhya's question, I'm trying to clarify the answer here. So how many units did you ship last year? You did like $2 million in 2014, right?
Yes.
So and that's from shipping?
From the pre-orders, yeah. Pre-orders,
previous,
yeah.
No, this one is on Kickstarter.
So we ship, yeah, for the shipment.
11,000
So it was on Kickstarter.
Right.
Yes. So right now we have
so
shipped.
that was 1.4, the 2, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly. So we have shipped already 100 cameras as development kits.
100 as dev kits.
Yes, exactly.
So your $2 million of revenue last year was all Kickstarter? Is that?
Kickstarter campaign, yes, plus the pre-order we're taking right now from our website.
Plus pre-orders.
Yes.
That's okay. So who is buying? This is Sandhya's question. Who are buying all of these?
So we have basically early adopters, people that want to capture the whole thing and use, move from a frame-limited field of view to a full. Very cool. Yes, individuals, but we also have a lot of professionals because the way we build the cameras is that you can actually switch the back of it and you can change the usage of the camera. So for instance, that's the regular back. So you have a battery inside. So you can use it as a regular camera, just go anywhere. It's waterproof too. But then you can switch it for a light bulb mount. So then you can put it upside down into a light socket and turn it into a video surveillance camera. But you can also switch that for a PoE base. So that means you can, for instance, go on stage, put the camera, get it hardwired, and directly stream over the wire. So we have also a lot of professionals buying the camera.
So is your ultimate objective to be a technology licensing house or a consumer-facing consumer electronics company? I mean, are you aspiring to be GoPro, or are you aspiring to be a technology provider to other consumer brands?
Well, we might end up working with GoPro if they want to build an AT360 camera at some point. So we just figured out that we needed to show it was possible to do, and so we needed to get a device out, and that's the first one. So we'll see how that goes. If there is a real interest for us to pursuing this adventure and to make this kind of do-everything camera, we might end up doing it. But of course, like the potential of the technology is so huge that we have to go and help any companies using video today to make that happen on their devices. So we're not going to build drones, we're not going to build phones, but we can work with those companies to make it happen.
So it sounds to me like your druthers are to be a technology licensing company
mostly,
and
yes,
enable
of course.
push your technology out. Because I would say, I mean, just having been a new GoPro customer in the past quarter, the it's so easy is just not that easy because there's so many other pieces you have to, have it work with your phone. If it's without a read, it's a lot more complicated, and then the files are huge. So to get it to be an actual just consumer, not a prosumer product, is a challenge. And then yours is going to have 3 times as much video as even an individual GoPro.
Actually not. That's the point. So just to give you an idea, the file coming out of the camera is as big as any full HD video today. And we build the camera so it can be like that simple to use. So you have 2 buttons. It's fully automatic. You can switch from video, photo, live stream, and just like share it directly online. You can remote control the camera with your phone and share the content directly online. No complicated settings, nothing complicated. And it's directly compatible with, again, YouTube and soon enough, Facebook.
Okay. Any other questions? Good. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Patricia.
Can you talk about what your price point, what your COGS are relative to your price point? Your cost of goods are relative to your price point. So looked like you were selling for about $100 on Kickstarter. Was that, am I doing that math right? Something
130,
like that?
On Kickstarter, it was about from $2.99 for the very early birds up to $3.99.
But the
And
Kickstarter
the
was
final
much
price
less.
is $4.99. Yeah.
Kickstarter was, what was the price on Kickstarter?
From $2.99 to $3.99.
Oh, okay.
I agree. We can't do the math, right? Okay. All right, $299, $399.
We sold
And then
about
the
4,000 cameras on Kickstarter, if that's the
Okay.
question. Yeah.
Oh,
Cost.
there's 4,000. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's worse.
I thought there were
I
11,
remember that
but
number from
okay.
that slide. But anyway, what are your what
Right.
are the cost of your goods that go into the camera?
What I don't. I just,
Cost.
How much is the material?
Oh,
What
the,
does it
oh,
cost
the
you
cost.
to
Sorry,
make?
what is cost? About 200 today.
So your margins 30% right now? Gross margins?
Well, yeah. About the thing is, like, we have a target of getting the price lower, but the point for us was to make the best camera possible. So especially for the first one, we have to get the customer experience perfect. So for us right now, it doesn't matter if the camera costs a bit too much. We know the technology will be improving with next generation and the company we've been working with. So it was very important for us to make the best camera at the right price.
Sure.
Last question? Okay, last question. Bummer.
So,
All right.
I mean, one of the companies that you mentioned in your presentation was Color, that was bought by GoPro, right?
Yes.
And I understand that they stitch GoPros together, but it's also a sign that GoPro is interested in this space.
Yes.
Do you know, or do you have any idea what GoPro wants to do? And I understand that, you know, in the best of the worlds, they would use your technology to do something in the space, but are they forced to use your technology, or could they do something without your technology?
Well, you're totally free to actually stitch your images with using a software. So just for the background, so we've been working with the Color solution 4 years ago. So it's an awesome news for us to see a company like GoPro buying Color today, because that means we have some years, on the technology in front of them. But of course, the point for us is that you can use a software to stitch images together, but then it's a huge waste of time, even for the consumer. Like, nobody wants to actually go back home after buying 2 cameras, then stitch images together on the software, then eventually make a movie out of it and then upload it on the internet. It doesn't make any sense for a consumer point of view. So it has to be native.
Okay. I'm sorry we're out of time, but Marianne, great job. Great job. Thank you. Okay?
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So we have our final team. Nathan. Bolt Motorbikes.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
And here you go.
Hey folks, I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Nathan Joftis, and I'm the founder and chief scientist at Bolt Motorbikes. When was the last time that you really looked forward to your commute across the city? Well, more likely than not, each of you spends over 60 hours a year stuck in traffic and looking for parking. 60 hours is a week and a half of vacation. And on top of that, most car owners spend almost $9,000 a year just looking for parking and stuck in traffic. So there's a trend toward electric vehicles, and it's no surprise that two-wheelers are great for getting around in a city. These electric two-wheelers all have their own benefits, but they each come with drawbacks. We set out to create a vehicle that has all of these benefits, but with none of the drawbacks. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the M1. It's the ultimate urban commuter. It's part bicycle, part motorcycle. It's a fully electric, smart motorbike with style, attitude, and substance. Because it meets electric bicycle regulations, you don't need a license, you don't need a registration, and you don't need insurance. You can ride them in the bicycle lane and park them on the sidewalk. The adventurous and thrill seekers can push a button or swipe their finger on the smartphone and unlock sport mode, which is the highest performance and most motorcycle-like experience of any electric bicycle. You can travel up to 50 miles on a single charge, which costs you about 21 cents, and speeds up to 40 miles per hour. It's great for the city. We've got a kick-ass team with 30 years and over 100,000 miles of motorcycle riding experience. We've set world record moped rides. We've developed electric motorcycles for the best in the business, and we've worked in the trenches of Foxconn. We know manufacturing. And we designed the M1 for manufacturability from the start, including our patent-pending battery and drivetrain technology. My partner Zach and I have also been friends for the last 10 years. About a year ago, we linked up with Don Hutchison, who's now our advisor. He's a seasoned veteran, successful entrepreneur, and a hell of a good guy. And how could you say no to this punim? Right? Our business model is simple. Design, build, and sell electric motorbikes. We started in the US selling directly to consumers, but as we grow, we'll expand into Europe and Southeast Asia, including dealer networks and Bolt Experience stores. But don't be mistaken, we have laser focus on the US market. We started selling, we started selling directly to the US, and since our September debut, we pre-sold our entire upcoming production run, converting to $155,000 in revenue with very few marketing dollars spent. Over the last 5 months, we've shown consistent 20% month-over-month growth. We've given over 200 demo rides and received well over 600 purchase inquiries. We've been self-funded to date, and we're now raising $4 million to execute on the next year of our vision. We're not just looking for funding, we're looking for active partnerships with smart and engaged investors. So if you're passionate about entrepreneurship and want to make a positive difference in transportation, I'd love to talk with you after the show. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, dramatic entrance. Carrie.
So what does it cost to build? How are you pricing it? How are you distributing it? How can I buy one?
All right. So, a lot of questions. I'll take it from the top. We're asking $4,995 for the M1. It includes economy mode, which meets electric bicycle regulations, sport mode for the adventurous, our 5-hour smart charger, and a 2-year tip-to-tail warranty. We want to make sure that you're taken care of. At this stage, when we're just making a few of them, we don't make a dime, but we make money in volume. So I have experience in production, and my experience suggests that we can bring this to a margin of about 50%.
Okay.
Oh,
and you didn't answer the last, right?
Yeah, and the last was, how can you buy one? They're available online. We're taking purchase pre-orders through our website to secure your spot in line for our upcoming production run. We expect the first bikes to be rolling off the line this summer.
Okay, to clarify that, have you shipped the first run, or?
We have not shipped the first run.
Okay, you have not.
Right, we're preparing for the first run. We've given demo rides.
Okay.
Those 31 cash deposits are the people who've put down the cash deposit to secure their spot in line.
So how did you generate $155,000 of revenue?
Converted revenue.
You mean it will convert?
Exactly, yes.
It will
To be
convert
converted.
into revenue.
Exactly.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah, well, and
that was
that's
obvious to you guys.
That's why we've got 7 minutes for questions.
That's
So
Okay, all right, thank you. All right,
And
anybody?
is sport
Sharon.
mode legal? Is sport mode, you need a motorcycle license?
Sport mode is for off-road use only. In our 3,000 plus miles of riding, 2,980 something of them have been in sport mode. You know, it's illegal to speed. And I don't know how many of you guys actually didn't speed on the way over here today. This is a multi-platform motorbike. So what that means is right now, you can get this bike as an electric bicycle. Through simple software modifications, we can increase
You can tune it.
Pardon me?
You can tune it.
Exactly.
But I mean, are you saying that you're intentionally breaking the law? Is that what you just said?
No. We're saying that these...
Customers to break the law. So no, but motor vehicles are regulated, right?
Absolutely.
So are you saying that even because you have locked sport mode, that you as a manufacturer are not going to be subjected to the regulations that are placed on other vehicle manufacturers, and you're going to be like a bicycle manufacturer, unregulated?
In the U.S., electric bicycle regulations are very new, and we're taking advantage of them. But as the regulations start catching up, as the regulations start catching up, we're going to be miles ahead and offer the registerable version. This bike has the performance to meet electric moped regulations, which is a one-time registration fee. Insurance is maybe $50 in a year, maybe it's $100. So when the regulations do catch up, we're ready with the registerable.
So, when a new class of, let's call it vehicle, comes out, then the regulatory bodies, but also even just the local government enforcement agencies scramble. Like when Segways first shipped.
What do they do?
Are they allowed to go on the sidewalk or not was a huge issue, right?
Absolutely.
And it's going to be in the hands of actually every police officer on the street to decide, whether to pull the rider over or not.
Absolutely.
And somebody's going to have a
printout
a document that says, no, right. I'm street legal.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally speaking, in the 3,000 miles of riding, I mean, we ride in Golden Gate Park during the music festivals when it's closed off to vehicle traffic. We ride next to cops on horses, and they don't say, "Hey, are you in sport mode?" They say, "Holy crap, that thing is cool."
I want that. Yeah, it looks like that.
So a question about your target customer, because you initially pitched it as the commuter, and now you're pitching a little bit more of a kind of a sport rider. Like, what's the persona of your target customer, and where are you going to find them?
Great question.
Yes, you.
I am not only the founder and chief scientist, but I'm also a client.
The chief cyclist. So you are.
So we target urban professionals. They're smartphone holders. They live in the city and work in the city. We also appeal to motorcycle enthusiasts. Anybody who's going to consider getting a gas scooter absolutely would consider a Bolt.
Got it. And then so how do you compare price-wise to the options that those people have?
Great question. So if you remember from the slide a little bit ago, electric bicycles come in a wide variety, from kind of cheap, flimsy to up to $10,000 for this type of performance. There you are. On the far left are electric motorcycles that start at $15,000 to $20,000, and that bike runs at about $35,000. The electric bicycles on the right, I'm pointing there, but I mean to point here. The electric bicycles on the right, to get anything of any quality, you're starting at $3,000. And we have over an order of magnitude higher in performance and much larger range, much larger capability, and the ability to scale into even greater vehicle classes.
So how do you get your cost of goods to give you a margin at $5,000 when even a typical non-motorized, when a high-performance bike is 10 grand?
Great question. Yeah. So we call it the fruit model. There's a fruit company in Cupertino that makes MP3 players and computers, and part of their success is because they control production, they control the software, and they control the hardware. Because we do that all under one roof, we're able to iterate and modify quicker than anybody out there. So as battery technology advances, we're going to be able to refine our design and adapt to the new batteries. So what's cool is when battery prices come down, batteries are the single largest price component. Mm-hmm. When battery prices come down, we just slap them onto our bike.
Okay. Patricia?
You in the back.
Oh.
No, middle.
Middle, okay. So I'd assume test driving is an important part of
Absolutely.
consumer falling in love with your bike, which is hard to do when you're ordering online. So how are you thinking about providing test drive capability in a broader geographic range?
So it's our Butts on Bikes campaign. So for people who've ridden motorcycles or scooters, you kind of have the idea. But a lot of our customers and a lot of the people who've test ridden have never twisted a throttle in their lives. So we go through the 1-minute spiel with them and send them off and riding like a natural, and it's big smiles from ear to ear. Now that is a big challenge, what you mentioned, to raise awareness, to get these new riders onto our bikes. And so we've hosted corporate demo rides. We were down in San Diego last week, 2 weeks ago. We were down at SpaceX, and Tesla had 50 riders on in 2 days. And we also, of course, offer scheduled test rides. So for anybody who's out here who's interested and raising their hand, absolutely drop me a line. My contact information, Nate, N-A-T-E, and I'm at Bolt Motorbikes. So I'd love to have you come by. We're in the Richmond district of San Francisco. Thanks.
Okay, I want to get one last question in, though, before you would finish your advertisement, which is...
Well, what's on bikes?
I want to ask you the scale question. You haven't
Absolutely.
talked about how do you scale this thing, how much capital is going to cost, when are you going to get to any sort of profit margin on this thing?
Absolutely, great question. So we've developed the tooling and assembly process for just about every part of this bike. We use off-the-shelf parts where appropriate, and a high school student can follow our instructions and build this entire bike. So in the short term, scaling is as simple as going to the local high school and says, who wants to do something really cool in the future of transportation? Large scale, we're talking substantial production. And my experience working at Foxconn, working in Taiwan in wheelchairs and mobility devices, I have a network. Well, we have a network and the experience.
So how much capital is it going to, I know it's possible to scale.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much capital is it going to cost you to scale? How much capital are you going to need to get to some level of scale that makes this an interesting looking business?
In about 3 years, we project profitability on, roughly speaking, 20 million over a few years.
20 million of cumulative revenues. That's what you're saying?
No,
Or of that year's revenue?
Of investment to scale.
20 million of capital.
Exactly.
So
yes.
you think you can get to profitability on 20 million of capital?
Yep.
That's what you're saying. Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. All right. Okay, with that, Nathan, thank you. Very dramatic. Good. I'm going to keep this. All right? Okay, great.
And one thing that
Some
of you guys haven't asked, you're like, oh, what do people do if they don't have a garage? Well, they lock their bikes to a signpost, they lift up the lever, and out comes their battery so that they can just carry it inside and charge it inside at the office or swap out for another battery. We offer a pannier rack so you can carry extra batteries.
And guess if your cell phone is out of juice, voila. What a... God, that's cool. All right.
All we need to do is mount the 3D camera on there with the camera.
Right, and then they can take care of your
kids.
babies.
Thank
right?
you.
All right. Thank you, Nathan.
So how are we doing this? Are we deliberating and then we're
Yeah.
going to
So
talk?
now
or
we're
you
gonna have a partners meeting here, guys.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Huddle up here and ignore the audience.
I'll just keep talking. I'm
Right.
good at that.
All right. So Anita with Oniva, right? Marian with Giroptic, right? And Nathan with
Bolt.
Bolt. All right. So pretty different, pretty interesting. Who wants to talk about Oniva? Who likes Oniva as a company? Anybody kind of ready to jump on Oniva? Anybody?
Well,
Okay.
For sure, real market, the problem with that is it just wasn't clear how it was going to be differentiated. There's lots of competitors, lots of alternatives, but gigantic market, growing market, but there needs to be an Uber of that space, right? So like that, Giroptic is interesting in that it's very defensible technology, but I don't have an intuition as to how big that's going to be.
Okay. Well, let's just to
More
keep
niche
it.
than GoPros.
Joel, here, just so you have one too. So just to keep it on Oniva for a second. It's pretty straight down the middle. Anita's telling us nobody's quite cracked it. She, very high-end, quality. She's trying to position herself. We're absolutely clear that our people are secure. So it's a pretty straightforward business. What's not to love?
Well, one of the issues on that kind of business where, she's representing it both as a marketplace business model where they're matching care providers and customers and as a full service, they're going to sort of take the risk and be the holder of record and a B2B platform. But scaling it in general can be done because it is, there is a demonstrated need. but it requires real-time matching, region by region. So it's more difficult to build the business nationwide. And what she's saying, that was an interesting angle on the business was using corporate partners to come with a base level of demand as they enter each region and using that to attract the care providers. So because you need to keep the supply and the demand in balance on both sides. But it's not clear to me that that ultra premium service level, and particularly with I think she said 17 to 26% scrape off of every transaction in perpetuity, that's really going to persist, that people want to pay that big of a premium, that there's that much of that kind of market.
So I liked the go-to-market strategy of corporate, and having used, I think, probably much every single one of these sites at some point for childcare.
Exactly.
It's like such a micro market. Like it's not even like all of the Bay Area. It's like who is within like the 5-mile radius of your home. So the concentration required is astounding. So I can't imagine how she could possibly scale more than a couple cities.
Can you imagine finding a car that just happens to be available near where you are to pick you up?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But that took
and you only have to do this
years.
once, right?
The amount of years that, right, exactly. She can put like them on each of the Uber cars and drive them around. Yeah, but so more what I found that her kind of scaling, the kind of approach she was taking was way too aggressive to be like international and corporate and local and consumer, that it was so unfocused that I would want to say, like, where do you want to be in 2016? And just do that.
Yeah.
And if the pitch was tighter, I think then it would have appealed to me more.
Okay, let's talk about, do you want to defend Oniva, or do you want to, Sandhya, or do you want to?
I just wanted to reinforce that comment about focus.
Yeah.
I think it could be really big if she could focus on one or two of those go-to-markets, but I did like her focus on the trust aspect. That was I think that's the single biggest determinant of success in that market, and she was hyper-focused on it. So.
Okay.
Well, I think trust is one thing. Like, I think trust and security get you in the door, but the one difference between getting a ride in a black car or someone's Prius versus someone taking care of your child is, one, the context, right? So, I don't really care as long as the guy gets me from my house to the airport within a defined time frame. I don't really care how that gets done. But in terms of the specifics around how they care for a child, I think that's another spectrum. So I think
huge.
Trust and security, clearly table stakes to get you in the door. But is that person organized? Do they know what to do in an emergency? Yeah, this is not a commoditized service. And I think that's the challenge in the care market. Well, I think it's huge, and it's a big problem. It hasn't been solved completely yet, because all this is very tailored to the needs of the individual parent and how they care for their child.
Okay. So anybody want to throw in anything in defense of Oniva? Okay, let's talk Giroptic. Who's in love with Giroptic? What's the excitement around Giroptic? Anybody? Come on.
It felt like it was real defensible. I don't know if it's defensible technology, but hard to do technology. They've been at it for many years. This is non-trivial stuff, but geez, I don't have an intuition about the market.
I guess the thing that was exciting was that they apparently resonated with consumers on Kickstarter. So, they got 4,000 consumers to put money down for these cameras. So that indicates that they struck a nerve, right?
Okay.
And that consumers viewed it as a kind of a wow product.
Right. I mean, but consumers buy coolers too, right? I mean, not to criticize. Okay. Right. Okay.
Not for $299.
So that's a proof point. That's kind of amazing. And he said to Sharon, I'm really more focused on the developer, videographer type of community. I think I'm really more of a technology company than I am a GoPro, is what I heard. Do we think that's the business?
My interpretation is that it's a technology development house, and their intention is to license the core IP to other people who are going to integrate it in their products. That was my takeaway. It sounded like, they even said out of their 20 people, it's 16 and 16 geeks, right? It's not a go-to-market team. It's not a consumer marketing team. It's a technology development house. And I think that one of the challenges there is if you are a technology house that's manufacturing something with margin, you have an easy business. You have a business model. It's a treadmill business model. You have to keep driving your costs down so that you can keep driving the cost down for your ultimate customers. If you're purely a technology licensing arm, right, you have a bunch of IP and you're trying to license that to people, that I find is the dream of many engineers. Oh, I don't have to have those messy salespeople, right, and deal with sales and marketing. I just get to make cool shit. But it's very difficult business to build because even companies that license technology like that, license it to try it to see whether it resonates with their end customers. And as soon as it does resonate, they want to drive that cost out of their cost structure. And so they go around you and build it themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the licensing approach is the value maximizing approach for the company. I mean, it definitely did not seem like they had brand building chops on the team.
Yeah.
But ideally, you'd want to add that to the team or so that they could build a consumer brand like GoPro. I think that's where the ultimate value could be really enormous if it is truly a differentiated consumer experience.
So are you loving them, Patricia?
I think if you raise venture money,
Yeah.
if you raise venture money, that's the path they have to go down. So they have to decide, do they want to do what they love to do and be a technology company and keep innovating here and build a Dolby, which took decades to build, but hey, Ray Dolby owned the entire business. He's was a multi-billionaire before he passed away. Or do you raise venture money and try to build a GoPro and try to build something really big, really fast?
Right.
So I actually looked at this business with an enterprise hat on, and I was thinking about which industry verticals would use this technology. And I thought, well, the construction vertical would probably use it. There's probably kind of mining verticals. There's probably real estate verticals. There's agriculture verticals. So I was actually curious, if we were to invest in something like this, it would be looking at it, what are the applications? And thinking about the application market and coming back to the technology.
Yeah. And I have the same issue. We looked at a very similar technology, a directly competitive technology, and there are all these apps you can kind of imagine, but it's hard to get excited about any one of them.
Right.
And that's my concern. But Joel, you have
no, but I agree. But on the other hand, I'm a big believer in spherical videos, and you see Facebook and others are launching it in their news feed. And you have like Samsung coming out with Galaxy Gear, and the VR scene is just ahead of us. It probably will take longer than we can expect, but
I hope. Right?
I see. Yeah, maybe, but they have like probably a very good use case that the mass market could relate to. And the thing that isn't clear is if they will go with the consumer path or if they will go with the technology licensing path. But
if we give them enough money, we could probably influence that, right?
but I must say, like, even if it's like a very tech-heavy team, the product was pretty beautiful, and they've been able to execute a really nice Kickstarter campaign, so they have something there as well.
Okay, so you're loving it.
I like it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Joel's loving Giroptic.
But there is a but.
Oh, there's a but?
If you look at GoPro, it's very, if they go the consumer path, it's like super hard to build a really valuable company. I mean, GoPro succeeded, but some argue that GoPro is also a somewhat overvalued company. They don't have huge margins, and it's very hard to defend the company long term, probably.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Look at something like the Flip video.
Yeah.
Right, which did not survive.
I'd argue GoPro is less technology and a lot more marketing. Because what they're providing isn't that unique or special, but they've just nailed it on content marketing, on vertical marketing. I mean, they've just done a fabulous job of it. And it's sort of like the early days of the MP3 player, right? I mean, there were like 30 companies that provided MP3 players, but it was Apple that cleaned up at the end of the day.
But that's actually what makes a good business versus just a cool product and technology. And
right.
Investors need to invest in businesses.
Use the microphone.
Sorry, I was just saying that's what makes a good business to invest in, right? What you just mentioned. I'd rather invest in a GoPro that was able to achieve that than just a product and technology that isn't able to do that.
Okay.
Right. Well,
so are you a defender? Are you a defender of Giroptic? Is that you're loving Giroptic?
Not in its current.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I think they should try to figure out a way to bootstrap it because they have to show us that there is a business. But Carrie made a good point that GoPro is really like a brand, and their competitor is not another camera company, but it's like Red Bull. Red Bull definitely views GoPro as a direct competitor. They have no technology, so if they could partner with Red Bull or some other competitor to the GoPro brand, maybe they could build a technology brand, but a technology company that they could bootstrap, get profitable, and keep over time, like develop a Ray Dolby model. But I don't know if it's a venture, backable business, and if they do raise venture funding and we influence the direction of the company, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, I know that's dangerous, isn't it? So, okay, let's talk about Bolt. Okay, so who wants to defend Bolt? Anybody? Anybody?
I'll go.
Okay, Sharon.
Yeah. I mean, just I have a teenage daughter whose boyfriend is a motorbike.
Oh, so you are really on this one.
I don't know, but it's in having looked at Segway a long time ago, and then a bunch of the different, highly evolved. My husband uses a wheelchair, and so we test drove, if you'll say that, a whole bunch of the different bikes that have lots of wheelchairs that have lots of sensors. I mean, there is. In many other parts of the world, commuting by bicycle is a huge percentage of what the population does, and the trends in the U.S. are toward, increased urban density and away from suburban and car-driven lifestyle. So, I think to that end, they're on trend. You saw I had a lot of questions about regulatory environment, and then personally, I think actually just the design of the bike is very particular and would appeal to one segment of the population, but it doesn't really, the design of the bike doesn't really speak to the urban commuter, get around town kind of style person, that you see in a lot of other countries where it's a bicycle with a basket and it's kind of very utilitarian. So I think that they have to actually match the product, the product and the branding to what they're purporting to be to what they actually think will be the volume customer, and he said it himself. Most of the miles they've driven are off-road. That's a two-wheeled ATV for $5,000.
Right. No, I mean clearly they built what they wanted to ride. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, ATVs are those sporty ATVs are also a big business.
Yeah. So okay, Patricia.
I was going to say, you should test drive a Tesla. It's a totally wow experience, but Teslas are really expensive and they're really big, actually, super wide cars. To me, this was like the smaller version of a Tesla for like the millennial generation, right? It's like your starter Tesla.
Right.
And
sort of Tesla training wheels.
Right. It's like gosh, I hate how I think I could see a lot of millennial commuters thinking they look pretty cool on that bike. So I actually thought it had a lot of potential.
So you're kind of liking it, huh?
I'm liking it.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other comments?
I liked the product. I questioned the CEO as like presenting and selling so much at the same time that I felt like he was treating us as if we were like customers to buy the bike, and undermined and didn't like deal with some of the regulatory issues. Like if you're presenting to investors, you want to like come across as like, yes, we understand our customer, but let me also tell you why this is going to work in the market and how we're going to manage all these elements of it. But maybe there was more of a presentation style element that we could coach him on for his next $20 million of fundraising.
I think that's valid, and even the whole Tesla addressing the regulatory environment, is the Stanford Business School case, and there's a lot of hard questions that the management teams making vehicles and pushing the envelope have to address, and as investors, you really want to make sure that people are always going to come out on the bright white side of the line. With a device that could take somebody's life.
So that's why I was like a little frightened about investing behind him from that.
And are any of you concerned about how to scale this business?
Yeah.
That was my biggest.
Okay.
I think several people asked that question, and he didn't answer the question at all, in my view. So I didn't understand who and how he was.
Well, he said high school students would build these.
That scares
me.
It's frightening.
Theoretically, they could.
I don't want my high school.
Right. It's kind of like the original specialized bike in Marin. I mean.
So I'm sorry. Okay. So
I don't understand how it would scale because he didn't articulate it. So yes, I have that concern.
And do you believe he can do this on $20 million?
No.
No way.
Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Wow, guys. All right. So I'm not. So you know, we got to come to a decision here.
This is why we only fund one of like
We
hundreds
have,
of
right,
companies that come
we
through.
got, boy, you know, we
Do you
got to
wanna
make a
fish again?
decision
Yeah.
and, you know, figure out how we're going to allocate this. So I thought I saw momentum here, but I'm not finding it. But, okay.
See, let me be
Yeah.
in defense of the, so I
Okay.
think we need, I mean, definitely many more facts need to be presented on,
Always.
on the motorbike company.
Right.
But it at least has a clear business model, right? They're going to sell a product at a
For
price.
zero margin.
Initially.
Well,
Right?
initially, I mean, but every product starts with zero margin
Okay,
to start,
all right.
right? But it has a business model, which is to sell a physical good, ideally with, you know, we have to understand the bill of materials and and all those costs. But at least you sell a product, you sell a product direct to consumer is what they're saying, with margin, you know, and it's a transactional sale. It's a manufacturing company where,
Right.
you know,
Okay. So in
Giroptics, we don't know what their business model is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But Oniva seems pretty straightforward business model. Now, the question is it as big and exciting a business model? But it's a pretty straightforward business model, don't you think? I mean,
but there's,
we've
there's
all
so
used...
much
so many
competition
nuances.
in that
Yeah.
Right.
space, and do you want to be funding the number
The
7 or
nth.
number 8 player, number 9 player? You know, I don't even
Okay,
know, right? So,
okay. But there
I
are
think
plenty of electric, you know, there are plenty of electric scooters, electric bikes, electric motorcycles, electric, and none of them are doing it too well in the United States,
Yeah, and
right?
Intuit was like the 12th, you know, whatever bookkeeping software product. So I mean, in Oniva's case, in the defense, no one has cracked that, and it's a gigantic market. I mean, I'm a customer. I still use all these services. I'm not happy with any of those services.
Right.
And do they, you know, can they take a 20% rake on every transaction forever? No, absolutely not. But $3,000, that's a bargain. I mean, I think we paid $4,500 for a nanny, you know, headhunter.
Just to
right?
find, just to find,
Just to
right.
find, right? And no guarantee that we would even find somebody. Just paid $4,500. We were lucky we found somebody, but I mean, no one's cracked this. So
Okay.
I wish somebody would.
All right, so we got to put the question here at some point. What? Oh my God, okay. Okay, we are going to do that. I appreciate that, and we're going to do that after the experts.
There's probably experts in the audience.
So I love that, and you spoiled it, but no, but I just want to, because I totally love it. All right, so let's call the question. Do you have
Make a
any?
quick
Yes?
comment. Absolutely. I think the audience will probably guess better what's the company that's going to be the best brand and maybe even the best company, but I'm not sure they would have the perspective of what's the best investment. So what question are we answering?
Right.
And I
Are
know
you really
usually
criticizing the audience right now?
No, I'm
You're really
criticizing
going
us.
there?
I'm criticizing us.
No,
right, that
you're
we
right.
have a very
No, it
narrow
is
view,
right. No,
and
of
that's
course
the
it
difference.
is.
I'm
It's an.
criticizing us.
We're trying to mimic an investment decision, with limited data, 3 minutes. Which company are we most interested in plunking money down for? Understanding it's different amounts of money for different companies. Blah blah blah. Right.
I'll plant the flag. So
Okay.
So if this were a partners meeting and we were to stack rank these 3 deals,
Right.
and we had to make a decision on one,
Yep.
I would go with Oniva.
Oniva. Okay. All right, Sandhya, what are you?
I think we should start.
We're going to
with-
pass. Sandhya's going to pass. Wow. Okay. All right, Ho. I've actually been in that board meeting where the partner said, I want to hear what he says first. Okay.
No,
Ho.
I'm actually going to put a stake in the ground.
Okay. What?
So I'm actually going to agree with Carrie. As a standalone business, whatever we know now, agreeing with all the potential risks is the risk I would rather take in trying to crack that.
Okay,
market.
Aniva. Ho.
Same.
Really? Patricia?
So I'm going to go with Bolt.
Okay.
Stack rank them first. I actually should say I was an investor on the board of Care.com for many, many years, so I'm intimately familiar with that market. So I'm going to go with the market I know very little about.
Classic.
Kiss of death.
Classic,
All
right?
seriousness, actually, when I look at the size of the market opportunities, I feel like of the 3, I feel like this is the biggest swing for the fences, and that's what we need to go after when we're when you're in a larger venture fund.
Okay, all right.
I'm Mike. So I would go with Bolt also. I mean, I think Oniva, I think that we are, as a group, underestimating the amount of capital that it will take to scale Oniva. If you look at Care.com or its competitors, they've all required an enormous amount of capital to scale region by region. And Giroptics, as we said, the business model is really unclear. I think the thing to understand for our collective fund is how much capital do we have and what is the capital requirement of Bolt. But I think Bolt is the most disruptive and exciting product that we saw today.
Okay, all right. I think between the group of us, we have, we got Intel. We got billions.
Yes.
we got billions. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about that. Okay. Okay, did you bring your checkbook? Okay, no, okay. All right. Joel.
Yeah, and I mean, I think all products are very exciting, and they did very good pitches. I agree that Oniva probably will, it always costs more money to scale marketplaces than you ever expected. But I don't know if Bolt would cost less to scale than Oniva. And I feel that it still is a clear need for Oniva's product. As we said previously, I don't see that anyone has taken that place. And,
so you're going with?
Oniva.
All right, okay.
She also gave a very strong impression, even though she would need some more focus.
All right, and Allison.
So I like the founder's passion of Oniva, but I think that's going to be such a difficult business. So I'm actually going to go with the Giroptic people, because I actually think that the trend of video and then moving into 3D video over the next 5 years will be just kind of part of what we expect and what we see. And so an early strong technology that's riding that trend where there's not as much competition and I feel like that's one that we could could work with him and figure out what the market applications are and how to pursue kind of different licensing strategies and a platform strategy that would be effective there.
Okay, so Oniva, Bolt, Oniva, and Giroptic. All right, very interesting. Okay. So, but before we finish...
And the head of the firm, what
how about you?
For?
Oh, I'm recusing myself. No, so...
You're just going to take the board seat because you need the win.
There we go.
That's so bad.
Thank you. That's my job, right? I get that. Okay. So I actually think Oniva is the more straightforward I'm scared. I mean, my heart's with Bolt.
And the sideburns. He's got really cool sideburns.
Plus that. So, okay, so audience now. I'm not sure if we can do hands or what we're going to do, but all right, who is for Bolt? Okay, somebody counting? Somebody counting? All right. Who is for, yeah, and all of you guys can buy one even if they don't win. And okay, so who is for Giroptic?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
See, they're with me here.
Wow. And who is for Oniva? Interesting. Okay, interesting, huh? All right.
How many millennials in the audience have children? No.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's really interesting because
you don't care about care when you don't have kids.
You
just have to care for yourself.
Some of us are of a certain age. Okay, that's interesting. Well, and so we won't really know the wisdom of the crowd for a few years, but whatever wisdom turns out, the winner today is Anita of Oniva. Anita, come on down.
Right. I think majority wins here.
Good job. All right. Good work. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for voting.
And all right. Okay, do I get a photo op with them? Yeah. Okay. So Nathan, what can I say?
You can make checks payable to.
All right. Great job. That's all right. Okay. Okay, and did we lose Marion? Marion's here too. Marion, come on out. Come on out. Great job. Great job. All right. All right. Okay. All right. You know, you and Allison.
We can go chat.
All right, guys. So now. Oh, yes.
Real quick, hi everyone. I'm the managing director of TMK Law, and we are a corporate law firm that specializes in small to medium-sized companies. And we'd like to first, real quick, thank you to the staff and the organizers of today's conference. You put together a great day, so thank you so much. Also, congratulations to all the teams who competed today. It was really tough, and you all did a great job. On behalf of the firm, we'd like to congratulate all three of you guys. And to our first place winners, we'd like to present to you $5,000 of complimentary legal services to help you on your way.
Your license.
Wow. Wow.
Start with your licensing program.
Talk fast.
Congratulations to you all.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay, guys. Great work. You know, do we have a couple of seconds?
Not really.
How about this?
Okay. Can I ask them a question?
Yeah, that's one question.
Okay, so here's the question I want to ask. I think I previewed you guys. So most of the people in the audience are entrepreneurs. And, you know, we've all been in the business long enough to see it's been a wildly changing business now. And you've got all these different choices or opportunities or challenges as an entrepreneur in terms of where you go and how you go get funding, right? So you've got, you got the crowdfunding, the Kickstarter, the equity guys, you've got all these angels, you've got all these different sources of funding. It's dramatically changed in just the last few years. And, in the olden days, we used to coach entrepreneurs, be very careful and deliberate and all that stuff. And now, right? What is your advice? I'm going to start with Allison. Just real quickly, and we don't have a lot of time, but real quickly, what is your advice to entrepreneurs on where do you go get your first money now in this new world?
Whoever will give it to you?
Okay, thank you. Okay, Joel, your turn.
No, I would look for somebody first money, the people who will actually find some time with you to be able to be a sounding board, because it can be pretty lonely being an entrepreneur, and finding someone who's not just funding but also can be a good advisor would be valuable.
Okay, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, if you expect to raise money during the next 12 months, just, go out there as soon as possible and raise. No. But to be frank,
Because you think the world is coming to an end?
No, just because it's so good time to raise money right now.
Okay.
But, no, it's so many smart angels that have come out from, the past year's tech boom.
Okay.
And at least when we invest, we also advise startups to bring a couple of angels that complement the team and give them some additional strength, both when it comes to competence, but also domain network and so on.
Okay.
So try to get to know angels.
Sharon, equity, Kickstarter, equity crowdfunding, Kickstarter, angels.
Customer-funded, bootstrap, until you have proof points. When customers buy your product, then you know you've built something that they like.
Okay, great. Patricia.
I'd go with whatever type of investor has aspirations that are aligned with yours for the business. So if it's to be a public company or if it's to sell at $50 million, just make sure that you're aligned with whatever type of investor that you choose.
Okay, but that eliminates Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, and I think Kickstarter is great from a
It's a product
market validation and create consumer buzz. I don't view it as a funding source.
Okay, Ho.
Yeah, in general, I mean, I agree with Sharon. There's so much focus around where to get funding, and the goal is not to get funding, but the goal is to build a business. Not, you could say, what's chicken and egg? You need funding before you start a business, but most businesses get started without venture funding, right? VCs fund a very small percentage of all startups that ever get off the ground, and a very small percentage of all very successful companies, period, that go public and so on. So they go to customers, they find the market. The focus is on building a business that makes money. Okay. And then if you do, believe me, we will all be chasing you and begging you, right. So please let us invest. Right. That's the goal.
Sandhya.
Yeah, I agree with Ho and Sharon. Bootstrap for as long as possible. Try to get people who are paying you money for your product to fund your company. The only thing I would say is don't fall into the trap of doing that for so long if there's an opportunity to accelerate by partnering with someone who can give you good advice, who can help bring new customers. Speed is important, not just for competition, but for many other reasons. So if you find that opportunity, get out of that bootstrap mode and partner with someone who can actually add value.
Okay, and Carrie?
I think for me, it's align yourself with someone who knows the market that you're going after. Because I think too often entrepreneurs see the big brand name firm, but they get the wrong person involved. And so you want to get the right partner who has experience, whether it's in care or it's a local market or it's in, marketing technologies, whatever that specialization is, make sure you align yourself with the expert or experts in that industry, because at the end of the day, no one else matters. To get a generalist, they can't specifically help you with some of the nuances in your particular market.
Great, I thank you. And so, unbelievably good advice here from this extraordinary panel. I think the reality is, for each of you, it's going to be a little bit different maybe. You're going to have to explore some different things. Maybe you can bootstrap. Maybe somebody falls in love and gives you money. Maybe Kickstarter will work for you. There's some different paths for different entrepreneurs, I think. But I think this is great advice. And I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking this extraordinary panel for today.